Hi, today is April 15th, 2020, and today we are going to learn about a composer and musician by the name of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Okay, he's a very popular composer from the classical period of music, which was 1750 to 1820. I drew some cute little pictures for you, and they're not great, but they're still kind of cute. So I'm going to read some stuff about him, and I'm also going to show you some pictures that I wrote to go along with it. So, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born in the beautiful town of Salzburg, Austria in 1756. So as you can see here, Austria is part of Europe, and if this is Austria, Salzburg is right there. Okay? So he was born there in 1756. When he was 4 years old, he started to learn the keyboarded instruments. So at the time, it probably would have been a harpsichord. So that's what he learned. He learned the keyboard, and he learned from his father. His father, this guy, his name was Leopold, and he was really Mozart's only teacher. Okay, Mozart also had a mother named Maria, a sister named Maria, and then here's him. Okay, and his sister was a musician too, so she also learned how to play the keyboard and learned to be a musician from their father. Okay, his sister's name is, of course, also Maria. When Mozart was 6 years old, his father took him from Salzburg to Vienna, which is another town in Austria, and there he played his keyboard instrument for the Austrian emperor, and he was introduced to the public as a child who was basically amazing music. They were so impressed with him. He dazzled them, is what it says in my book. And he could improvise, which meant he could play just anything. And he could sight read, which means somebody could put a piece of music in front of him and he could play it like perfectly, as well as any adult could, even though he was only 6 years old. And during that time, he also learned how to play the organ and the violin. Okay. When he was 8, he visited London, which is, of course, another big city in Europe, and played for the king and queen there. And when he was there, he met a guy by the name of Johann Christian Bach, which, if you remember, we learned about Johann Sebastian Bach. That was his son. Okay? So he met Bach's son, Johann Christian. And he had a big influence on him. He really showed him his style of music, which really had a strong influence on the way Mozart wrote his first couple of symphonies. Okay, he also composed many keyboard pieces and sonatas for the violin and keyboard. Okay, Mozart went and visited Rome in 1770, and there he listened to a choir in the Sistine Chapel. And they were singing a very famous piece at the time, and so this is him listening, if you didn't get that. When he got home, he was able to write down everything they were singing, the music notes on the staff, the words, everything from just memory. What he heard in his brain, he remembered well enough that he could write it down when he got home. So that's, like, amazing. And because of that, and he was only 14 at the time, the Pope named him a Knight of the Golden Spur. When he was in Paris in 1778, he composed a set of variations for piano that were based on the folk tune that is, of course, known today as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I have a link to the video of those variations, which means it's like Twinkle, Twinkle, but not. He makes some little changes to them. Down in the description, there's a link so you can listen to the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Okay? Let's see. In 1782, when he was 26 years old, Mozart got married to Constanze Weber, who was a cousin of a composer, and they were really poor, unfortunately, but the time that they spent together was really important, because he was able to compose 3 of his greatest operas, which of course is instruments and singers. And let's see, I got lost. Unlike any other composer in music history, Mozart wrote in every medium or every type of musical composition of his day, so operas, sonatas, symphonies, and he was excellent at all of them. Okay? Mozart's travels eventually took him to London, where he met Franz Joseph Haydn, and they became friends and played in a string quartet together. Mozart honored his new friend by composing 6 string quartets and dedicating them all to him in 1785. Unfortunately, Mozart's last years on Earth were filled with a lot of financial difficulties, so he didn't have a lot of money, and also he wasn't very healthy. And he did die in Vienna in 1791. Okay? So, I said this at the beginning, and my video is getting a little long here, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. But Mozart was born and composed during the classical period. Okay? The classic period was marked by a lot of music for, like, festivities and private parties at the palaces of kings and queens. And musicians would also compose for public concert halls and opera theaters. And just like in the Baroque period, composers still worked as court musicians. So they were hired by kings and queens and churches to compose music and perform it just for them. Okay? Okay, so that was a lot of information. Hopefully my pictures kind of helped you know what was going on. Down in the description of the video, down below, I did post 3 links for 3 different listening examples of Mozart, and one of those is the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, okay? Listen to at least one of those, okay? You don't have to listen to all 3. If you want to, you can, but you need to listen to at least one of those listening samples down below. Alright, have a good rest of your day.